Mr. Weinstein? Dr. Gilliam?
Present.
And Mr. O'Connor?
Here.
Okay.
Today committee, we have 3 individual items, which you will see on your agenda. I'm going to turn things over to the manager of wet weather programs, also known as Tim Grow. Timothy, have at it.
Thank you, Arletta. I'm just going to call through the slide numbers so you can follow along fairly easily. We're on slide number 2, the agenda. Went through the roll call. As Arletta mentioned, we have 3 informational items: program update, controlling the source update, and status of the IDRCs. We have 1 action item. Then we'll discuss for other business and future meeting dates and adjournment. Moving to slide 3, it's just a title slide, Grow Program Update. Move to 4, a quick status on the Grow projects that currently have been awarded. We are still through, we have 1 preliminary planning project still that's in McKees Rocks. They're working through some issues out there, but we hope to get this project moving. 20 projects in design. So we have the projects that are in design. They are in various stages of design, 60% or 90% design. Some 24 projects are in bidding and construction right now. 22 projects have completed the project. So they're not quite at the point of a final presentation or a final report, but the construction's complete and they're in post-construction monitoring. We have 2 final reports under review, and we currently have 30 projects that have turned in final reports. We've reviewed them, approved them, and are either closed out or in the process of closing out. When a project is in the long-term O&M, that means that the project will, their 20-year O&M commitment commences. Moving on to slide 5. It's a quick modified growth schedule update. Because of COVID-19, we had to shift our normal schedule 1 month. So the applications for cycle 5 were due on July 31st. We have received them. We're in the process of reviewing them. The Green Committee meeting, which normally would have taken place last Thursday, needs to be moved to somewhere before the October board meeting, where we will present and award, recommend awards. Right now, that meeting has not been set, and we're hoping that it'll be sometime between October 15th and the 21st. Board approval on the October board meeting, October 22nd. And then once you've approved the projects, we will issue notice of awards at the beginning of November. Moving on to slide number 6. Talk a little bit about the cycle 5 applications. We received no stream inflow projects, or we did not invite any stream inflow projects to submit an application. We received 3 applications for green stormwater infrastructure. The largest single project was a little over $2 million. As the trend has been for the past several cycles, I&I projects, we've received a lot of them. The total value so far is over $6 million for those projects, with 1 single project being over $1 million. We did not receive a lot of sewer separation projects, but of the sewer separation projects, they are fairly, they're of the more expensive type. And 1 single project came in at almost $4 million. but because we expanded the total, the cap on the project from $2 to $10 million, that is now potentially fully fundable. Then system optimization, we had 2 of those projects, with one single project being almost $1 million. So the total eligible project cost for those 28 projects is coming in close to or over $22 million. Are there any questions?
Yes, what is it, sewage separation, the SS project
Yes.
for nearly 4. So is that going to be something that we can really get a lot of bang for our buck for, as far as kind of media, and is it something that's really going to be a big splash as we had anticipated with raising the cap?
So far is that particular project actually received a Cycle 4 award. It was the one that got $2 million. And when we changed the cap, they elected to rescind, or will elect to rescind, the application because they believe that this will potentially get them more money.
Excellent.
Yeah, it'll be a big splash.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's the point. I think, that was the whole reason why we kind of raised it, because we wanted to, some of the projects that, probably would not be able to get done without this type of support. But of course, overall, we needed to really make a big impact in the infrastructure in the system.
Yeah, and this was a very good project in Cycle 4, when we gave our assessment to the municipality. We let them know that this was a very strong project.
To the speaker?
Excuse me?
Can you move a little closer to the speaker?
Sure. How's that? Is that better, Dr. Gilliam?
It's a little bit muffly, but it is louder.
Is that better?
Perfect. There we go. Do that all the time.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to slide number 7, controlling the source, an informational item. That's just a title slide. Moving on to slide 8. We have published the Controlling the Source report that was published on July 21st. That report went through a large amount of peer review. We received over 200 comments to the Controlling the Source plan from 14 reviewers from 6 different entities around the region and around the country. And a lot of common themes are listed on the slide. I don't think I necessarily need to go through each and every one of them. Just the point is, we received a lot of comments, and this was a well-reviewed report. Moving on to slide 9, I want to talk about the opportunity implementation. The majority of the main point of Controlling the Source is to identify projects and identify methods to identify future projects. In Controlling the Source, ALCOSAN had identified many projects or opportunities to do some source controls around the ALCOSAN service area. So the first step, we published Controlling the Source on the ALCOSAN website, and we've communicated that to our municipalities and the public that they can find this report on our public website. ALCOSAN's next step is to reach out to the municipalities and share with them projects that we have identified in their municipality and see if they are interested in pursuing those opportunities. We could do that individually, but the way that we typically will be reaching out to all of our municipalities or give everybody an opportunity is through the Grow Fall Municipal Workshops. And those workshops will be taking place starting in November and running through December. Any questions on the opportunity implementation?
No, not for me.
Okay. The publications are accessible on the public website. There are three parts to it. We have our executive summary, which is a condensed version of controlling the source. We have the controlling the source report, which several thousand pages of information. And then finally, we have a web map where there's a graphical interface where you can dive down and start taking a look at various grow projects, projects identified in controlling the source, projects that municipalities or other entities have built outside of ALCOSAN's funding. And it's a very useful tool to start diving down into where projects have been built or could be built. And it provides a lot of information that we have discussed in the past through in past Green Committee meetings talking about the methodologies. So probably don't need to go too far into that, but if there are questions, I'm always available to answer them.
This is a really nice set of materials. It's very readable, which is often a concern when you have these like technical, highly technical documents. So it looks really good.
Thank you. Moving on to slide 11, green stormwater infrastructure opportunity outreach. Controlling the source identified nearly 200 potential locations. About a quarter of them were considered highly ranked. A third of them were medium ranked, and the remaining were low ranking opportunities. Low ranking opportunities are not bad opportunities. It's just that they did not rise up to the top like the high rankings or the medium rankings. They could still possibly be good projects though. Of all those projects, 26 municipalities had identified with potential green stormwater infrastructure locations. Those were typically combined sewer communities. Our intention is to meet with each of those municipalities individually to present any identified opportunities. So far, move on to slide 12, early progress for the green stormwater infrastructure. Rankin Borough submitted their Rankin Ballfield project, which was identified in the cycle 5. And also in the past, we've shared Kennedy Park in Sharpsburg with Kennedy, and that was taken on by the municipality, and they're trying to move that forward. We've met with other agencies like the Port Authority, where Port Authority had identified a capital program to improve park and rides and potentially build parking garages. And we wanted to work with them and just see whether or not there were opportunities for the municipality to be able to do stormwater inflow projects through green infrastructure at those locations. We've also worked with community groups like the Negley Run Task Force, and we've shared some of our conceptual projects with them. And all the projects that were within the city of Pittsburgh, we have shared with Pittsburgh Water and Sewer Authority already. Moving on to slide 13 is...
So what's been the feedback that we've gotten, if any, from like the PWSA, Negley Run? What have they said?
I think the feedback from Negley Run has been positive. I think that they would like to figure out how to work with ALCOSAN to implement those projects. PWSA has been fairly positive with what we've identified out there. I don't think we get negative feedback from anybody in regards to what we have identified. I think everybody's acknowledging that a lot of work went into trying to find these projects. And for those ones that rose to the top where we went to that extra step of a conceptual design, I think it's appreciated. It gives them a much better start than if they were just to try to figure out where to go on their own.
And it says here that the planning level estimated cost of construction associated with these 59 concepts is approximately $47 million. So that the planning level estimated cost. So that's just for the planning? Is that what that means? Or what does that mean? Help me understand that.
Dr. Gilliam, which slide are you on right now?
I'm actually in the executive summary on page 9.
Okay, I don't have the executive summary in front of me, but if you ask the question, I will be sure to get back to you. Can you repeat your question, please?
Sure. It says the following, so the header is opportunities and concept plans. And it says the following opportunities were identified as of May 2020 following the established processes. And the first bullet, the second half of the first bullet, I was trying to get a sense for how much it would cost. I know it's going to be a huge number, but how much it would cost if we were to implement all of the recommendations, or at least the ones that were, what would you say, not low.
Mm-hmm.
I found this line. It said the planning level estimated cost of construction associated with the 59 concepts is approximately $47,017.
So $47 million planning level costs. Now, a lot of these planning level costs are based off of our overflow reduction efficiency numbers. The $47 million is probably a decent cost, but the match that would come from ALCOSAN would be something that on an individualized basis, we would have to talk to each of the municipalities, determine whether or not there will be infiltration at these green projects. Would they all be decentralized storage coming back to ALCOSAN, which lowers the ORE number a little bit, but still could be a fairly effective project. And of those projects that we did identify, we believe that probably all of them would be good grow projects. So how much grow money would come? It would be on an individualized basis. There's a lot that we did not know. We would still have to do some geotech work to determine if the soils are suitable for infiltration. And that's really one of the key things is, can they eliminate the water from getting back into the combined system, or is this something where the water is being stored and then slowly bled back into the combined system when the system has capacity? But the numbers
I hear what you're saying. That makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Like I said, this is a really good report, even for a non-water person like me. I understood it, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, that's what we were shooting for. We wanted everybody to be able to read this, not just engineers. Moving on to slide 14, identified I&I reduction opportunities. We have started going through a flow monitoring program. Well, we've had a flow monitoring program for years where we've gone into key areas where they've been, where we've known they are wetter than usual. So we went through, we did some flow monitoring. Based on that flow monitoring, we took it a step further, did flow isolation studies, trying to narrow down what stretches of pipe need to be addressed through some rehabilitation that we believe will have a high impact on the amount of groundwater coming into the system. Currently, we're working with Streets Run. We're beginning to get the ball rolling with 9 Mile Run. We have a lot of sewer sheds that we have all the information ready. We're taking this steps at a time. So, because we do not want to go to everybody all at once and then get overwhelmed with the response. We're starting with Streets Run and working our way down that list.
Okay.
Moving on to slide 15, the early progress. M42, which is Streets Run. Communities, they are moving forward with what we've recommended. And they're working with ALCOSAN and Three Rivers Wet Weather to not only address the infiltration defects, but also the defects that are a part of the regionalization process. So we're trying to get some synergy between the two programs to have these defects addressed that may not necessarily be infiltration, but they are structural defects work with them while they're also fixing the infiltration. And then once that is done, turn that over to ALCOSAN, and we will have a much better asset than if they didn't do anything. And it's going to be the same process with all of these municipalities. Our whole program has initially started with the regionalized sewer sheds, the ones that were wetter than usual, or wetter than normal, I mean. And then we work with those municipalities to identify cost-effective projects and then start grouping them together so that they maximize the ALCOSAN investment through GROW. So as I mentioned, we started with Streets Run. We're starting to work with 9 Mile Run. We're getting that ball rolling. Spruce Run, there was a project that was identified that they have submitted already for Cycle 5. That is from Avalon Borough. Moving on to...
So question for you.
Mhm.
These projects, 7 identified projects, I'm just wondering, do we know if there are any other utility infrastructure changes expected for these 7 areas? I'm thinking about the whole Dig One idea.
Personally, I don't think I don't think ALCOSAN knows exactly where the other utilities are, because the first step we take is working with the municipality, because the utilities absolutely will be coming to the municipality to give them an update as to if there's any work going on their streets. And it would be at that time where we would try to see whether or not PennDOT or one of the gas companies or a water company may also be planning on coming through certain streets and working there. Most of these projects, though, are not going to require digging. Most of these are trenchless technologies where they just need to start at a manhole and line a pipe, and that doesn't require digging anything up. It's not saying that it's not saying none of the projects are going to require digging. Maybe there might be, but for the most part, we're figuring that these are going to be jobs where it is trenchless lining jobs. Okay.
All right.
But we absolutely will be sure to bring that up to the municipalities just to be sure that it's all working together.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Moving on to slide 16, just wanted to inform the committee about our 2021 flow monitoring flow isolation study program. There will be 6 areas that we will be doing flow isolation studies in 2021. And flow isolation studies are typically between February and April when we have the highest groundwater in the system. And then our 2021-22 flow monitoring flow isolation study program is going to hit 6 other basins. After this program, we're going to take a little bit of a break and start to really focus on the I&I reduction opportunities. So are there any questions on slide 16?
Not from me.
I'm good.
Slide 17 is just a map that shows where the projects are going, where the flow monitoring has taken place, where the flow monitoring will be, where it's proposed to take place. This does require coordination with our municipalities. We just cannot go in there in the municipalities and set monitors in. There is a little bit of coordination we have to do individually with each municipality, each police department, every public works department. So it takes a little bit of time, but so far everybody's on board with the program. Moving on to slide 18, the direct stream inflow reduction opportunities. Through the years, ALCOSAN had identified 33 direct stream inflow locations. Through a methodology that was developed, we identified 44 new locations where stream inflows coming into our system. We took a look at these at the field verification and identified 15 locations where we procured an engineering firm to do a feasibility study. And you can see on the map, a lot of these projects are fairly close together in those blocks on the map. Based on the feasibility study results, the engineering firm had estimated that for $18 million, it could result in a reduction of 44 million gallons a year of stormwater inflow reduction. I'd like to put a caveat on that. That is not necessarily overflow reduction. So if a municipality wishes to investigate this a little bit further, we could investigate it a little bit further with them. But a lot of these projects required a lot of brand new pipes in the ground, and we would want to be sure that there is a significant overflow reduction if a municipality wanted to work with ALCOSAN to make one of these projects real. But we're willing to talk. That's why we identify them.
That makes sense.
Moving on to slide 20. We identified sewer separation opportunities. This is the newest of our methodologies, and we're still working that one out. Controlling the source is not a final report per se. We do expect to have updates to it, and updating the sewer separation methodology is something we're going to be working on for the next version. But what this is there's a lot of combined sewer sheds that are not very large, and those sewer sheds could potentially be separated for a fairly cost-effective price and reducing overflows. We need to find where they're at. A vast majority of these locations would be located in the city of Pittsburgh, but there are also many other municipalities where sewer separation is feasible. And typically they would be small sewer sheds along the main rivers.
So in the third picture, is that the process of opening up the ground and separating those pipes?
I believe the photograph is more of a typical image of a trench and building a sewer or replacing a sewer. But yeah, sewer separation projects are probably going to require closing streets, digging down, building either a brand new storm line or building a brand new sanitary sewer and reconnecting everybody to that sanitary sewer. It requires a brand new pipe. That's the sewer separation. So it
scale on that really, I'm looking at the size of that guy and the size of that hole. The scale is pretty big.
Yeah, that's probably a much larger sewer separation project or the construction of a new pipe. Some of these may not be quite so big. Maybe you can have a storm sewer that's smaller because it's going to be a function of the sewer shed size. If we have a very large sewer shed, we may have very large pipes. But if the sewer shed's fairly small, a new storm sewer would also be fairly small. The bigger concern would be navigating around utilities.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking about utilities. I was thinking about residential, like houses and buildings, and yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, moving on to slide 21, status of IDRCs. That's just a title slide. Moving to slide 22, there has been success. Pittsburgh Water and Sewer Authority and the City of Pittsburgh filed their Cycle 4 IDRCs for Maryland Avenue, Woods Run, and Bob O'Connor Golf Course on time, and everything looks good. And because they submitted their IDRCs, Cycle 4 agreements have been executed. PWSA is now in the process of moving forward with pulling together all the information for the rest of their green infrastructure projects through GROW. So they got over this one hump and moving forward, and the world did not end. Everything is okay. And yeah, it really is good. And this was a big hurdle for PWSA. And now, once they start submitting their IDRCs, especially projects that are already done, we can start going through the process of reimbursing them the funds that we awarded. Any questions on IDRCs?
What does IDRC stand for again?
Instrument for the Declaration of Restrictions and Covenants.
Oh, okay, yeah. I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to slide 23, action items. We have one action item on the agenda. These are requests to extend the end date for 6 projects. They are identified in the other handout called GROW End Dates, I believe. And it's Borough of McKees Rocks, Borough of Sharpsburg, PWSA, Borough of Dormont, Borough of Braddock. I can answer questions about any of those projects if there are any.
No questions for me.
Mr. Chairman, can you hear me, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, I can hear you, sorry.
All right. Now will be the time to call for a motion.
Sure. Need a motion to approve?
Recommend.
Doctor,
So move.
Oh, second, sorry. We need a motion, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Okay. So we need a motion from me. There's only 2 of us on here, right?
Yeah, you motioned, I'll second.
Yes.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved.
There we go. All righty.
thank you.
Thank you. Moving on
It's so
to,
funny. It's like with the fewer people, it's actually more confusing for people.
Yeah, Robert's rule.
we have an agenda item for other business.
I have no other business.
Yeah,
Do we have future date?
That will be the next slide, future meeting dates. We've moved on to, I guess, slide 27. We need to have a meeting in October to provide recommendations to the Green Committee for the Cycle 5 awards. And again, this was because we had to shift everything a month due to COVID.
Okay, we'll just work on schedules. We'll send it out to the committee. We obviously have our board meeting Thursday, so we'll be there early for executive session. We'll pick some dates. Do you want to maybe like the 13th or 14th of October? Does that work that week or the following week?
Yes, we'll resolve it Thursday.
Okay.
And then after the October meeting, there is a scheduled committee meeting on Thursday, November 12th.
I have that on my calendar. It looks clear.
Yeah, it should be good for me too.
Okay, final slide, adjournment.
All right, thank you guys. Thank you. Good work. Good slide. Take care.
Yeah, very nice. Good job. There's a lot of work. Good job.
Thank you both.